Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
My name is Latiff. In the Situation Room with me this morning, Okoh, Njeri Thorne, and CT Muga. Our frequency is 94.4 in Nairobi, 87.9 in Mombasa, 102.5 in Kisumu, 96.0 in Nakuru, 96.7 in Eldoret, 90.9 Nyeri, 97.6 Malindi. We're taking your feedback as well this morning on our conversations. They've been posted on our social media handles, Spice FM KE on Twitter, Spice FM KE on Facebook. Now, CT Muga has a bone to pick or to throw at insurance companies.
Why do bones get such bad rap? And all they do is represent the remains of something that once lived and existed.
Or entertain dogs.
You know, when you take just a casual look at the business industries that we have in this country, there is none, in my opinion, that has the capacity to do the amount of good that the insurance industry can. Because what they can do, let me say, it's a multiplicity of goods. One, by their very nature and by the very nature of the business that they purport to conduct and undertake, they are able to ensure that in the event of something untoward happening to you, you receive protection. Whether it's financial, whether it's in your business enterprise, whether it's in your health. And that's what we normally call insurance covers. But they go beyond that. They're able to even offer you direct financial help either through saving money, because that's what you do. Whatever premiums you pay, you're saving money. And they even have the capacity, and they do even lend out money against the money that you have saved with them. Now, what I marvel at is when you look at the insurance industry in this country, we have over 50 insurance companies. Some in trouble, some doing well, some mentioned every other day. But we, like in every other industry, there'll be 4 or 5 of them that everybody knows about and everybody hears about. Yep. And they all will tend to specialize in one area or the other. One, like Resolution Health, people know Resolution more for the health product than anything else. Yep. There'll be Britam. People know Britam because of the life insurance policies.
And the investments.
Yes, there'll be ICEA. They'll be known for something or the other. There'll
Jubilees,
be Apollo, what have you. But the one thing that doesn't seem to come out, the core business, this core business of protection in whatever area of the lives of the citizenry who do business with them, is they do not cover the length and the breadth of the citizenry that we have. Insurance in this country seems to focus on the middle class, lower middle and above, and those who are employed. Those who are not employed, those who are in self-employment, the Juakale industry, are rarely covered by the insurance companies. But now this is where the clincher comes in. Whenever you read about insurance companies, it isn't the good that they have done. The good they have done usually is advertised. Like one company saying, we are known to pay out insurance. We've paid out 95% of our claims. What you read about is the fights and the tussles that people have with claims. And usually this comes from accident victims. Now, this brings in the legal profession, what we refer to as ambulance chasing. Someone has had an accident. They're supposed to be paid. Someone is at work. They're supposed to be paid. They're supposed to be workers' compensation. Someone has been employed and perhaps they have been retrenched. They have a loan. And this loan is insured. At the time of taking the loan, you're told it's insured. When you're retrenched and you start asking about this insurance cover, now, I don't know whether the blame should go to the banks or to the insurance companies, but suddenly there are issues, and these issues get to our papers because there is a tussle and people are not agreeing. So if you look at these activities and you look at the promise that insurance companies make through their salesmen and saleswomen, then you may be forced to come to the conclusion that they are selling falsehoods. They are not giving you what they said they would when they first came to you. This really is my contention.
Okay, you've given some airtime to a number of companies there that you've mentioned. It's free advertising for them.
Good for them.
It's an interesting industry. It's an interesting business model, insurance, because yes, they bring in the money, but they've also got to pay out. So it's that balance between, in order, they're a profit-making entity again. I know you like the charitable notion.
Social.
You've got this sort of utopian, completely unreasonable, sorry to say, belief that private entities, profit-making companies should be helping society.
I do.
Even when they do the CSR, it's marketing. It's to make them more likable to you so that you can actually spend more. It's never genuine. I don't see any philanthropy coming from profit-making companies.
If someone benefits, then it is useful.
It is, I suppose. Back to insurance companies. They've got a very interesting business model because, yes, they bring in the money through the premiums, and then they've got to pay out. So it's a balance, it's that difference that is the profit. Of course, there's other, within insurance, there's other investment vehicles or arms. But if we look at insurance, on the face of it, as you're talking about. So what tends to happen is you have overzealous salespeople because it's based on commission, and they go out there and make promises, a lot of misrepresentation, say what they want, anything they can in order to pull in the business. And then, of course, insurance, they're notorious for the small print, which the salesman is not going to say because it would create some hesitation when selling or some barriers when selling. So when you then come to claiming, it's not quite what you were sold. There's some misrepresentation in that the salesperson did not tell you that you must have, there's a stipulation, you must have reached this standard of so-and-so, whatever the criteria is, and they end up not paying. And they do this, it's within the law because there is a regulatory body for the insurance companies, so it's within the law, but of course it's very underhanded because first of all, none of us read small print, generally speaking. Secondly, the insurance salesperson is so convincing and quite pushy at times and uses different techniques to influence you and get you there. And then you end up feeling frustrated when you try and claim. But you've got to understand this is the very nature of insurance. They want your money and they want to pay out minimal in order to maximize profits. I don't know what we're expecting from profit-making companies, CT.
It's not what I would expect.
Do you want to share their profits? What do you want? I mean...
No. You see, if I know right from the very start that this is what I'm dealing with, what is it that stops the insurance salespeople from explaining to you the fine print?
From giving you...
Yes, just telling you.
They feel it might be a hindrance, it might be a barrier, it might not. It might lose some of the enticing factors.
And therein lies the falsehood that CT
is
actually advancing. Because you see, if I'm coming and I'm selling you this
but the
form.
small print is there. It's your duty to read it. Omission is not commission. Just by them not telling you, they haven't lied. It's there. You can read it. You sign, don't you, on the dotted line?
And that's why we
so it's very devious, yes. But you've had the opportunity to read it, and if you did, you'd know better. But of course, that's just reflective of what you're talking about as a whole. The insurance industry is unscrupulous, so to speak.
When you talk about them having to pay out, the truth of the matter is there is a period. There's a hiatus within which all they do is collect money. They have no obligation to pay out. And it's usually 3 years or something.
Yeah.
So if you look at how insurance works, and you correctly put it, first of all, you group things, you collect money, you pool it. That's the term they use, you pool it. All right? Now, understandably, you just can't pay out. The payout has to be according to the terms with which you were insured. Perfectly understandable.
And there'll always be terms that favor in the long run the insurance. It's like a casino. The casino house will always win. Insurance will always win.
But the casino is a lot more honest. They
tell you how it is from the very beginning.
They're infinitely more honest because you know that the likelihood of winning is out there.
Yeah.
You can, but this one...
And they've got a bouncer.
Yes.
To show you that
yes.
if you argue with what we're saying...
Insurance companies promise you certainty. And when you go to collect your certainty, you're presented with uncertainty.
What's your experience with insurance?
Well,
and your comments on this?
I'm not going to give any particular insurance airtime, but if I can speak from an example of things that have actually happened to me. I did not read the fine print, which I don't understand. If you're going to take my money, don't put it in fine print. Be very blatant and tell me this is exactly how it's going to be. This is what we will do with it. This is what you will get or not get. Now, unfortunately, in this particular case, I did not read the fine print, as it were, and I saved but for a particular, if we're just looking at now life insurance, and they said, look, keep your money with us for 10 years, and I think in year 6 you get a certain amount, year 7 you get a certain amount, etc., etc., and at the end of the period we pay you a lump sum, and you will see
Interest
that
plus bonus.
right. So doing the calculations and all such, on the 6th year, then when this first year bonus funds were supposed to have been paid out, I was not paid out this, of course, and I started asking questions. I mean, being where I'm from, you don't pay me my money, I'm going to ask you a question.
What's the problem?
Yeah, I want to know.
What's my money?
I want to know what was the issue, and I was given a long-winded explanation about how there was a drop in market something, and they were not able to, and they sent out notice in terms of, I don't know where this notice was sent to, but when they were able to find me when they needed me to sign on the dotted line, but then were not able to find me when they needed me to know that perhaps the amount that I was going to get, in the first year was not, assured. And then they told me that the only sum assured, now they were using the fancy language, the only sum assured was at the end of the term. So these are the bonuses that you're getting in the 6th, 7th, 8th, and 9th year.
Dependent on market conditions.
Exactly, and were not assured. It was kind of like a way to rope me in. So they said, Madam, we told you that,
you didn't listen.
Yes, you
It's
didn't
all
listen.
there.
It's there. We told you
But
that
in
the
the end
only
you sign.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
The only sum assured is at the end of the term. So these are the wonderful things that we entice you with. Really, we're just enticing you with them. They're not assured. So I guess yes, we need to read the fine print, but we do need to read the fine print because they'll tell you all of this information.
There's nothing about needing to read the fine print.
However,
Listen,
my bone of contention is that if it's clear, honest way of doing business, it doesn't necessarily need to be in fine print.
there's some information that does not necessarily have to be in the fine print, like that upfront information. Now, if you look at it in the fine print, it's Njeri's people who've actually written it. It's written in complete legal jargon. It's legalese. Shall not, may not, may. What if, whereas, whereof. You will not understand it. Read that thing and you will actually get a headache. You will not understand what has been written. You will just say, okay, so how much shall I get? So 6 years and the first payment shall be how much? 150,000. All right. And the second year and the final sum assured is X. All right. So I'm signing. Because that's what the salesperson came and told you. My issue with the insurance companies is on how they train their salespeople. Whether they deliberately refuse to train their salespeople, because when the salespeople are coming to you, they actually don't look like they know much more than what they're telling you. And if you start asking them questions, they look shaken. It's not that they're hiding
on the product.
Yes, on the product.
So product knowledge is limited.
Product knowledge on these insurance companies are coming up with a new product. They are changing the same product. They just keep changing it,
Tweaking it,
tweaking it. So the same person is going to sell what they were selling last week, but it's a new added with PowerForm Plus, and they actually don't understand the PowerForm Plus and the effect of the PowerForm Plus. This morning in the Situation Room, we are discussing insurance companies. CT Muga is telling us that insurance companies have been selling falsehood. Njeri Thorne is in the studio. Okoh is in the studio. My name is Latiff. It's 8:30. We'll be taking your calls after this. This is the Situation Room. My name is Latiff. Okoh, Njeri Thorne, and CT Muga. Our frequencies are 94.4 in Nairobi, 97.6 in Malindi, 90.9 in Nyeri, 96.7 in Eldoret, 96.0 in Nakuru, 102.5 in Kisumu, 87.9 in Mombasa, and worldwide, www.spicefm.co.ke. Our Twitter handles, SpiceFMKE, Facebook, SpiceFMKE. We'd love to get your feedback on all the topics that we're discussing this morning and every morning. Our telephone numbers 0719 012 600, 0719 012 600. In this hour, we're discussing insurance companies. And CT Muga is telling us that insurance companies, according to him, have been selling falsehood. Before we went to the break, I'd actually started talking about what I think about insurance companies and how they operate. One, they apparently appear to deliberately not inform their salespersons. So when the salespeople coming to meet with you, they do not know exactly what they're selling you, and that's why it's part of the fine print. Read the person or read the print, and if you understand what you're getting, then fine. The other thing is product diversification. And CT, when you were raising this issue this morning, you said, look at the number of people who are insured. And the people who are insured and targeted by the insurance companies are those who are employed. That's middle and upper class. Those who are not employed, those who are in informal employments, not many of them are actually tapped in by insurance companies. If you look at other products like agriculture, Kenya is an agricultural economy. How many agricultural products do we have in insurance? Not many. In fact, it was big news when some of the insurance companies started coming up with agricultural products, covering wheat production, covering maize production, but not many. Still hasn't expanded. Njeri, you said it's a regulated industry. Yes, the Insurance Regulatory Authority, who I believe has a primary role in consumer awareness and education. Do you know what life insurance basically means? Does it mean that you are insured for the rest of your life? Does it mean you're insured for as long as you're alive? Does it mean that the people who actually benefit from this insurance are your signed dependents, or what do we call them? Beneficiaries in legal terms, and all these matters. So why do insurance companies behave the way they do?
Sorry, Njeri, go ahead.
I think we can all agree that their intentions are not the best for you, in that, yes, we're going to help you out, but we're here to make profits. So we're going to make profits, and if you do come across any sort of problems, we can help you out, but within reason, because we still have to make profits. That's basically insurance in layman's terms and in a nutshell. But what it is, it's very hard to sue. We're talking about the salespeople. It's very hard to go back and say, but the salesperson told me so and so, or I was misled and I didn't read the small print, because the onus is on you to read and understand the small print. The only time you can actually sort of sue or you can get your ways if you can prove misrepresentation, which is quite difficult to prove from a legal perspective. You basically have to show that the salesperson made a statement which you relied on to your detriment. So how do you prove he made a statement if it was just a phone conversation? Did you record it? Yeah. And that statement has to be false, and you relied on it to your detriment. So did you buy that insurance? Did you buy those products simply because of that statement? And was it to your detriment? So it becomes quite difficult, actually, and salespeople can get away with quite a bit because it's so hard to nail them. But I think the crux of the matter is, insurance companies are designed to pay out as little as possible. So they will have in place all manner of instruments and policies to make sure they don't pay out. For instance, I know somebody where they had a life insurance policy, and on the final month they were in ICU, and the payment for the final month didn't come out. And they had been paying years of insurance towards their life insurance. And this was stipulated somewhere within the small print, smaller than small print, I'm sure. And after paying years of premiums towards the life insurance, because on that final month when he was in ICU, a payment hadn't been made, and he died maybe 2 days later of when the payment was due, it wasn't paid out to his family. And it was well within the law. Because within the law, if you make an agreement with somebody, a contract that you both agree on, then you can't enforce something different. And that's what the small print is. It's part of the contract. So we have to understand, yes, insurance companies, their intentions aren't as noble as CT would like them to be, but they are there and they do pull through. You can have hospital bills going up to 2-3 million in Kenya, and they would be covered, and you've paid a premium of 100,000 that year. So they can be beneficial. One thing that I found very interesting in their bid to save costs is recently, I understand, insurance companies are forcing the people they've insured, or they're putting in a policy where you can only buy generic drugs. Have you heard of that recently?
Yes, it was in the papers.
Oh, was it? Mm. Oh, okay, which I thought was a little bit cheeky of them, because so if it's Panadol, you're buying a form of, you're buying Maramoja, probably.
If you consider, earlier on we were talking about health.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that insurance companies have done, they've actually gone out to employ medical doctors and medical personnel as part and parcel of the health insurance team.
Mm-hmm.
And it's for this same reason that we're discussing earlier on, a feeling that the health practitioners fleece them. Because if a doctor states that you require this, and this is the medication you require, and it costs this, an insurance person, how can you tell whether that is required or not? So, the fact that they've brought in insurance, medical people.
I know AAR does that.
Yes.
They've got their own hospitals
Yes,
as well.
they will even visit you in hospital.
Yeah.
These
How
are
nice
insur-
of them.
Yes, they will visit you. They'll bring you this generic card that tells you get well soon. Okay?
It's actually
Just
checking
to
up that you're
ensure.
actually there.
They're checking out that you're there, and they will be looking at the details of what on a daily basis. Meaning,
CT, can you blame them? We discussed how suspicious the health industry or the...
No, I don't.
So doctors have targets.
It isn't
So
blame.
if they know that doctors have targets and they will fleece you out of your health, so to speak, you can understand why the insurance companies would follow through. Because if a doctor... You have a common cold, and he decides you need an X-ray, you need an MRI scan, you need X amount of drugs, and it was a common cold of which, let it run its course with a bit of fluid, water, and you're fine. You can see why insurance companies then come in and start saying, actually, no, we're going to check this out because you doctors want to get as much out of us as possible.
I was trying to give a background to the issue of generic medication.
All right, sorry.
Yes, I wasn't that. You see, they understand the need to look after themselves and that on their own interest, and that is good. But you see, their interest is definitely and integrally embedded in their clients. This is really this social point I keep making. It's not as frivolous as it sounds. When you're doing business with people, for them to continue doing business with you, they must feel the benefit somehow.
Yeah.
That's really the point. It's a simple point. When they feel the benefit, they will continue doing business with you.
Sure.
It's stakeholder relationship.
Yes. Look at what Coca-Cola does. That stuff is close to being poison, okay? By its very concoction and by its very nature. But it sells. It sells because people feel that this Coca-Cola is part and parcel of their lives, and it actually does something good for them. And if you look at the CSR those people are involved in, it is fantastic. All I'm saying is they know their business. I am not saying that they are evil. I am saying if I were to be kind, they could do their business better.
Right.
Yes.
On the issue of the salespeople, I actually do believe, look, when we're no matter what it is that you're selling, there must be some basic, fundamental education in the area in which you're selling. Look, it's not just a pretty face or a handsome face going to sell, and that you think that I will be impressed by the way you look, and then I will gobble up everything that you say. Come on, I would expect that they have some training in the area in which they're selling. Now, that doesn't mean you must go to school, you must go to university for the 4 years to study insurance on all the things that come along with it, but at least have some kind of training. Even if you're going to hire these people who can sell, you need to then also make sure that they're trained or that they're well versed in the matter that they are selling. It is very important, because then you have people just basically doing common peddling, and then there's no difference between me and the next guy. So if you're coming to get me to spend my money on something that you are sure that I would benefit from in the matter of insurance, it's like someone coming to sell me a vehicle and has no idea what this vehicle is meant to do, or how it runs, or what it is made up of. It is necessary to have some kind of basic training in order for you to sell something as sensitive as insurance.
It does, actually. And our telephone numbers this morning, 0719-012-600. That's 0719-012-600. We're taking your feedback on this matter this morning, as well as our social media handles, Spice FM KE on Twitter and Spice FM KE on Facebook. Do check what you're saying on Facebook. CT and Njeri, this matter of training of people, this matter of how you're presenting the product that you're presenting to the person that you want to buy your product is critical. As yes, it's business that you're running, but you don't need to do it underhandedly. Come out strong and upfront and say, this is what we're selling you. These are the risks. These are the potential benefits. And this is what you're set to get out of it. Why do you have to put everything else in fine print?
I guess it's a little tool and technique that salespeople have deployed over the years
That
to
is
avoid
falsehood.
That is false.
to avoid
it's unethical.
It's unethical in what sense? You have every opportunity to read. It's up to you. The onus is up to you. You have they're not hiding it from you in any way.
If they broke it down, for example, if they broke it down and put it in point form, that this is what the fine print, yes,
so make it
is an
simpler
FAQ.
and easier to understand.
Make
and to
the
access.
fine print be an FAQ. Frequently asked questions. Will I get it? Yes.
Or no.
Or no. And in the event of ABCD, but not put it in that legalese.
You know,
But you
there's-
post it down there.
there's-
No, you've definitely got a point, but this is a profit-making company. This is what I keep going back to.
And
They're
I keep
trying to
telling
make
you that
their bottom line is the bottom line.
Yes,
Do you understand? It's about the money. They're not
By
trying to
any
be
means
ethical and
necessary?
nice.
No.
I wouldn't say that's any means necessary.
But
is
that's
quite a
what you're
strong
saying.
comment. What they've done, and they've done this for years, and we're now aware, and we should be reading the small print, is they've taken advantage of
Jerry,
the fact
even
that
if
we're
I was given
cognitively
I
lazy.
have several insurance products. Even if I went today and I opened that small print, I would still not get it.
So what you're saying is the technical jargon to throw you off
That's
that they're
exactly
using as
my
a
Not
point.
just technical jargon, deliberate technical jargon.
To throw you off.
And you need a microscope to read it.
And Du was saying, and if you knew it was such a good product, why would you need to do that? Because I think, of course, we've talked about insurance companies leveraging on the fact that they're trying their hardest not to pay out, but they still want to pull in as many people as possible. So if they were to say all these things, it would make people a little less sort of excited about the product. Remember, it's not a tangible product either.
Consider this.
So
if you actually
it's-
came and told me the truth, I may feel more inclined to actually buy it. I may like the product.
As it is, yeah.
Have you ever considered? I could
But
like
not
the
all
product.
salespeople. We're making out that this is it's a blanket statement. All salespeople are liars. All insurance companies are unscrupulous. I do understand their intention is to pay
Yes.
out as little as possible. But I mean, you've had a few experiences here and there, but insurance companies are there for a reason. They're needed. And some are thriving because they are providing a good service.
I do feel they're
Yeah.
given a generic script which they read from when they're going to sell. I do feel that they're told, look, say 1, 2, 3, anything else, refer back to the office. And so once you ask a question, they're thrown off. They really don't know what it is that they would do with that information when they're offering it to you. So I mean, it's not that they're liars, just like you said. I mean, it's not like they're liars. It's just that they themselves
They're
do not
economical
know.
with the truth,
Right.
as they say.
They're economical with the truth.
You know, government institutions, government bodies like counties and previous municipalities, entities that were known to have horrible relationship with the people they do business with. Every once in a while, you'd find the mayor, the town clerk, and now the governor saying, we forgive you this debt that you've owed for this long. So when you start this year, just start afresh. You may think it's small, but it's good CSR, meaning the burden that you have, we're letting it go away. Now, but please start paying us afresh. I'm saying this. Anytime you are in business, and usually, normally, absolutely, you have to be in business with other human beings. The people you do business with must feel that there is some direct benefit. That perception has to be there.
It
if you hope
is.
to be
They
a good
wouldn't be
business.
paying out for their premiums otherwise.
We've got
So
some
it gives
feedback.
them the peace of mind that they're looked after. That's a benefit.
Yes, and that peace of mind is often absent when you actually need it concretized.
Let's take a look at the feedback that we're getting from our listeners and our viewers on www.spicefm.co.ke. Right when you come back out of this break, it's 13 minutes to 9 o'clock.
Mature, intelligent talk every morning. Spice up yourself. Mornings done right. 94.4 Spice FM.
Happy? Are you happy with insurance companies? Are you comfortable? Do you feel that insurance companies are selling falsehoods, as CT Muga is advancing this morning? What do you think? You've got some feedback on Facebook.
All right, Jose Joe says those guys don't pay insurance as they claim. They follow up itself. The follow up itself rather will make sure you give up. So that's interesting that he said, the follow up, the process of following up itself is enough for you to give up and say, look, forget about this money. Let it just stay wherever it is that it's supposed to be. It's giving me too much of a headache. Kip Kosgei says, of course, in terms, he's answering the question that, are insurance companies selling falsehoods? So, I mean, if you look at a poll from what we see so far, people believe that, yes, it's falsehoods that are being sold. Your money comes in, and then when it's time for it to come out, there's always a question mark.
Our telephone number is 0719 012 600. 0719 012 Would love to hear what you think on this topic. City, you
I'm
you can't
smiling.
contain yourself.
No. I'm smiling because this is where I have to issue a disclaimer. I'm actually very happy with my insurance.
You found one that fits the bill.
I don't have one, but the ones I have, I'm actually very happy with them. I'm advised appropriately, and there's nothing that they told me would happen that has not happened. But I wasn't referring to myself here. I seem to be the exception.
You speak for the people.
No,
You're the exception to the rule.
I seem to be the exception because there are people I work with who will not be able to make the sort of statement I'm making in public. They'll in fact make the complete opposite and say, no. I feel I have been shortchanged. They'll be remonstrating. Now, that particular group of people unfortunately form the majority of people who express the outcomes of the relationship they have with the insurance industry.
I'll be honest. I mean, it's not illegal what insurance industries or how they operate, but it is sort of it's underhanded. I think that's the word for it. So it's above the law, but it's underhanded in that they try and make sure you don't see the small print. They try and make sure they do everything they can not to pay out. And the problem here, I think, lies in us having quite a lot of belief or feeling there's authority that comes from big organizations or companies. So sometimes you don't push for your rights. And I speak this from personal experience where somebody very close to me had an operation and it should have been under the insurance scheme. And just getting the insurance to pay was a hurdle. And if they're not aggressive and they believe that a company, because a lot of Kenyans, we do believe companies hold some sort of authority and, they're the truth and you feel there's some power. So sometimes not everybody's going to be able to fight for their rights with the insurance companies. I've come across instances like that where, they initially say no, and because people don't realize that they can push for their rights, people accept that and their money goes and, they've been had, so to speak. So, I think insurance companies can be underhanded. I think their intentions aren't as noble, as I say, as CT would like them to be, but they are needed and they do come in handy. But at the end of the day, and sorry to use that cliche, they are profit-making entities. They are not charitable, philanthropy organizations. And CT needs to internalize that somewhat.
Get it in you.
There's something really very simple. It's called social good. Meaning, over and above everything else that you do, you look into something that would benefit this person you do business with.
You are part of a wider community.
Yes, it's at the worst case scenario, it is humane. Even if you don't want to give it these technical terms that we give it. Mm-hmm. And we are all susceptible to it in our households, in the people we work with. If you're an employer, the people you employ, and we understand it intrinsically. So to deny it is to deny a reality that is part and parcel of our lives as human beings.
Well, the format of the Situation Room right here on Spice FM is when we raise such issues and we actually throwing the bone at insurance companies, then it's important that we bring in somebody to respond to this. And I think now this calls for us to set aside a day and bring in the Insurance Regulatory Authority to come and respond to some of these issues, like training, like information to the public, like social good, like how much of profit-making versus ethics are you allowed to have? There are laws in this.
Can I ask CT a question? Because he's hell-bent on this CSR notion. Does it then negate from the evils of any corporate? So, for instance, a tobacco company that is killing people with cancer. If they do a lot of CSR, does it negate from the crap that they're doing?
They're a profit-making company, Njeri.
They are, but the CSR seems for him, it seems to be the silver bullet. No, but social good, we must do social good, no matter what else is happening, social good.
No,
so is your idea that
no matter, in addition to what is happening, that really is my stand. Now, again, by the way, I will not relent on this particular point for a very, very simple reason. Most people are ignorant about many things. Insurance is a complicated industry, as is banking. Now, unless someone bothers to explain it to you in a way that you can understand it, not the way they understand it.
In layman's terms.
Yes. Same with even medical care. People are ignorant of these things. Now, CSR doesn't necessarily mean you give someone something tangible or physical.
Right.
Information, opening their minds, getting them to understand. That is also CSR.
Do you not think maybe it's intentionally complicated?
And that's it. And that's
so-
the
That's the
matter.
question, and you find that these are the responses that people are giving. You know, looking at the complication of it all, then I don't even want to follow up. And it could be on a broader scale, but I don't want to follow up because I'll be met with so many roadblocks on the way. I don't want to start asking questions because they'll block one on top of the other, and then I just get frustrated along the way.
You know, we have people they call insurance brokers. They actually work for you, the person who is seeking insurance. Now, when you talk to a broker, the amount of information the broker gives you, you pause and wonder and say, how come those
The insurance fellows didn't give me this?
But very simple now. It explains what Njeri is saying. The broker is working for you. Okay, they also work for the insurance company.
The broker gets commissions from the
but
insurance company.
They will tell you a lot more. They will explain to you a great deal more. Now, if you look at the financial sector, for instance, look at the SACCOs. Any SACCO, there is no day they don't have some product they're telling you about, an education day they want you to come to, this they want you to, meaning they do their CSR perfectly.
So CSR to
And
you is
consumer
just
awareness.
making sure the customer or potential client understands everything.
Meaning
Part of it.
you put them in a position where their
They're
interest is
empowered.
best. Thank you.
And they're empowered.
That is
Which I think that mandate falls on the regulatory body with regards to insurance, in that the body should put pressure on insurers
Yes.
to make sure they use layman terms in their terms and conditions, to make sure maybe their small print isn't so small.
Review the size of the font.
Yes.
But you know, Njeri,
And maybe to give people a cool-off period whereby they can buy, and then maybe after a month, you can decide. Because I know a lot of people in insurance want that. You buy something because you've been pressurized by the salesperson. And the pressure from the salesperson can't be controlled, but we can mitigate that pressure by giving people what we call a cool-off period. So yes, maybe you were pressurized into buying, but you can come out of it and up to 30 days, and you can cancel and you get all your money back. So that's the way to control the pressure and the sort of overzealous salespeople, I think.
Communication is actually not even a part of CSR. Communication and customer awareness is a part and parcel of the business. You are dealing with consumers. You are selling a product. It's important that you actually create awareness on what this product is.
But they will
and what it
communicate
means.
to their advantage, and the small print works to their advantage. So
you know,
That's where
once
we
upon
are.
a time, there was a gentleman. Again, one has to keep giving examples of where you see it best. In America, the gentleman was called Ralph Nader. Ralph Nader was a man who crusaded against the quality of products, meaning if your label says it has vitamin A, B, C, and Z, he will make sure it has it. If
A,
it doesn't
B,
have
C,
it,
and Z.
yes. Now, that particular trend has ensured that in that country and others, if goods don't meet the specifications that they have heralded, they are even called back.
E.g., edible oils at the port of Mombasa.
Edible
Mombasa
oils,
without
whether it is
vitamin A.
vehicles, whether it is what. But you have such organizations. Now, in this country, whichever interest you speak of, the question is who speaks for the consumer? The regulatory authority is the same issue as the medical and dentist board. No,
they can be in
The price is
cahoots.
the same.
no, no.
And we can't trust on the Consumer Federation of Kenya as well.
Yes.
It has.
I think
it
I think
has
the answer lies in our next topic. What's the role of the media? Because I think the media has a big role to play in calling out corporates, which it hasn't been doing because, of course, as I say, they rely on the advertising revenue. So I think maybe the media could play that bit.
Let's segue into that, actually, as we come into the next hour, and that's an hour that we're going to be discussing that. What is it that you have a beef with in Kenyan media?
No, I don't have any.
Remember,
beef.
you work. Remember, you work with. You work for. You work in. What's the issue with the media? and
It's
all
not
of it?
an issue as such. I think it's time we establish that the media does have a duty of care and should have a sense of responsibility to its audience. The media being any mass media, so from newspapers through to radio, anything that you can consume as information, I would call media. And it's not as well regulated as it should be when it comes to informing and shaping opinions. People are let loose, and it should be self-regulatory, which it's not, particularly because people, sensationalism sells and so on. So do they have a duty of care to their listener to inform and educate, and also act as the gatekeeper, and also act as a sort of watchdog towards government, and make sure we're informed and we're keeping an eye on what government is doing? And now, as we're discussing what corporates are doing, who's going to shine the light on some of these things that CT is rightly bringing up? Does the media have a duty of care, or should they have a duty of care to their listeners, or do they have a responsibility to their listeners? And what is that responsibility? What is their role?
Lawyers have that term, who watches the watchman. How do you say it in Latin? Something. I think we'll come back with it. So,
Hey, your Latin is really interesting.
something. Adorare. And this is what we'll be discussing in the next hour. What's the role of the media in shaping the society, shaping conversations in the society, ensuring the society is fully empowered on all matters of our life? This is the Situation Room. My name is Eric Latiff. In the studio is CT Muga, Ndu Okoh, and Njeri Thorne. In the next hour, like Njeri said, we're going to be discussing the role of media.